So over the last few years, millions of people have been dying to buy a home, and as a result of that, home prices have skyrocketed, making many millions of homeowners house poor. And if you don't know what house poor means, check this out.
What is house poor? House poor means that an overwhelming amount of your take-home income is going towards your house. I'm talking about your mortgage, utilities, repairs, everything, leaving very little money for other expenses you have, such as cell phone bills, groceries, car, and also saving and investing. For example, let's say that your household take-home pay, just for easy math, is $8,000 a month, and you bought a house for $500,000. Let's assume you put 20% down, you've got a 7.5% mortgage. That means your monthly mortgage is around $2,800. But I always add 30 to 50% to the monthly payment, which accounts for invisible phantom costs, like maintenance on the roof repair that's going to happen 11 years from now, but I need to save for it today. That means if you were to add 50% in, you will actually end up paying approximately $4,200 a month, which is more than half your paycheck.
And guess what? There are millions of homeowners out there right now that are financially dying as a result of taking on this massive burden of owning a home. And coming up, I'm going to show you just how bad it is, where it's happening the most, and how to reduce some of this burden near the end of the video. What's going on, my YouTube friends? This is Jerry Abbott, your #1 real estate resource here in beautiful Las Vegas. Hey guys, a couple of real quick things before we dive into the video. If this is your first time to the channel and you want to learn the cold hard facts about the US economy, the US real estate market, and specifically the Las Vegas real estate market, then make sure to subscribe to the channel down below. Number 2, if you happen to like the content in today's video, make sure to press that thumbs up like button, guys. That would really help the channel out. And number 3, if you are thinking about relocating to beautiful Las Vegas, whether it's next month or next year, I've got your back. I'm a local real estate agent here. I've lived here for nearly 20 years. I know every inch of this city. When that time is right for you, definitely reach out to me. Just call, text, or email me anytime, and I'll help you find that perfect dream home. Let's dive into the video. So take a look at this headline right next to me that just recently came out. There are 18 million homeowners right now that are considered house poor. That's the reality for nearly 20 million homeowners, but the scarier part, as you're about to see coming up, is that there are millions of additional homeowners right now that are completely burdened with owning a home. All right, so let's first take a look at this US map graphic that just recently came out. You can see at the very top where it says states where the largest share of homeowners are house poor. And when you look at the map graphic, you can easily see that the northeast part of the country are where homeowners feel the most house poor. Now the list there in orange on the left side is the top 10 lists of states. So let's just go through that real quick. Number 1 is California, 2 is Hawaii, 3 is New York, 4 is New Jersey, 5 is Massachusetts, 6 is Connecticut, 7 is Florida, 8 is Vermont, 9 is New Hampshire, and 10 is Oregon. So it's very easy to see that millions of homeowners that live in the most expensive parts of the country, like in the Northeast or on the West Coast, have the highest home prices and also have the highest property taxes, which again is why people are feeling so squeezed and house poor. So let's drill down more specifically into the true housing crisis across the country. This chart is very revealing. Now this chart talks about 2 things. Number 1, the people that feel house poor, and then another subsection of people that feel severely burdened by their housing costs. So let's do this. Let's just break this down simply. Take a look on the left side. The top 10 states right here that I just showed in the previous graphic right here on the left side. Then when we look up here in the green section up here, this first one here says total number of owner-occupied households for whom cost burden status is known. That means the total amount of homes that they know about from a status standpoint as to whether or not they feel house poor or burdened severely by their housing costs. All right, so let's look at the next green highlighted section right here at the top where it says number of owner-occupied households that are house poor. Then to the right of that, it says number of house poor households that are severely housing cost burden, which I'll explain in just a minute. And then just to the right of that, these 2 green sections talk about percentages. So let's just break this down into simple terms. Let's just start at the top. Number 1 is California. Now, I'm not going to go through every state, but let's just start here at the top. California right there, that number, almost 7.5 million homeowners that they know of right now that are either feeling house poor or feeling severely burdened by their housing costs. So let's just go to the right of that. Just over 2.2 million homeowners in California feel house poor. Just to the right of that, over 1 million homeowners right now feel severely housing cost burden. So just to the right of that, almost 30% of homeowners in California that they know of right now feel house poor, and almost 47% feel severely housing cost burdened. All right, so let's just pick another state randomly on the list here. Let's look at Florida, number 7. So Florida, just to the right of that, you can see 5.8 million homeowners that they know of right now feel either house poor or severely burdened by housing costs. So if we go just to the right of that, 1.5 million homeowners in Florida right now feel house poor. If we go just to the right of that, about 700,000 homeowners feel severely housing cost burdened. So right here, just to the right again, 25% feel house poor, and then just to the right of that, 46% feel severely housing cost burdened. So there's a reason why I'm showing you this list. This is the true reality of the housing market right now. Whether you're a homeowner for a short period of time or a long-term homeowner, there are millions and millions of homeowners throughout the country right now that are either feeling house poor or severely burdened by housing costs. We're not just talking about a small percentage like 3% or 5%. We're talking about 30, 40, 50% of people. This paints a true picture of the housing market because people bought into the American dream, and it's really turned into the American nightmare for millions of homeowners. Now, here in the Las Vegas real estate market, you can see right next to me that we just hit a record high for condo prices and townhome prices, and we're just shy of that with single-family homes. But as you're about to see, that is likely going to change because of this.
Close to 60% of the homes for sale in the Las Vegas Valley have been on the market for more than a month, according to a new report from Redfin. Real estate agents describe the market as stagnant, saying there is a disconnect between home sellers and home buyers.
And those effects are already being felt because, as you're about to see, there are many Las Vegas homes for sale right now that are currently reduced in price or closing far below the original list price. All right, so now let's drill down a little bit more specifically into the real estate market where I happen to be located. Now, I happen to be on the popular real estate platform Zillow that most of you guys are familiar with, because usually I show you one of two things: either homes that are massively overpriced in my opinion, or 2, homes that have already been severely reduced in price. But this time around, I want to show you, like I did last week, several more home prices here in the Las Vegas real estate market, starting in the luxury category and then working down closer and then below the average price point of homes that have sold far below the original list price. Because again, the market is changing here, and a lot of sellers are getting a reality check now where homes that they had originally listed at those price points now have to be reduced in order for them to sell. All right, so let's take a look at this first example of a Las Vegas home for sale that actually just closed last month. This is a luxury home. You can see right next to my picture there in that yellow highlight, it closed for $1.9 million right at the end of September. But more importantly, take a look down in the bottom right here in the blue highlight. If we take a look over on the left side of that highlight, it says the date 4/11/2024. So we're going back into the first half of this year when this home was originally listed for sale for $2.4 million. It went through a series of price reductions. It went 2.3, 2.1. It held at 2.1 for a little while. Then they dropped it down a little bit more, and then it got to $1.9 million right there that you can see in the yellow highlight as a final selling price. Now, I know most people obviously can't afford to buy a luxury home, and that's why I'm going to show you a few more examples as we go down lower to the average price point here in Las Vegas. But just taking a look at this example, if we rewind the clock a little bit and you did have the economic means to buy this home, even if you're a luxury buyer, buyers don't want to just bid on the original list price in this kind of market because they know that a lot of these homes are massively overpriced. And in this example, this home several months ago was originally listed for $2.4 million. The buyer finally bought it at $1.9 million. That's a $500,000 price reduction, or over 20%. So again, it just goes to show you, whether you're an average price point buyer or a luxury buyer, being patient is the wise option, because again, several months ago, they would have probably had to pay the original list price, and now they just got it for a $500,000 price reduction. All right, so let's take a look at this second example of another Las Vegas home for sale that actually closed in June of this past summer. Now we're definitely coming down in price, because you can see in the highlight there, this home closed at $770,000, but more importantly, take a look down in the bottom right in this blue highlight. This home was originally listed for sale a year ago in October of 2023 for $849,000. But then as I scroll up here, you can see a series of price reductions until finally, right there in this yellow highlight where it says sold, $770,000. So again, let's just rewind the clock here a little bit. If you bought this home about a year ago at the original list price from the seller, you would have been paying about $850,000. But about 8 or 9 months later, that's the time it took for this home to finally sell, and they needed to do an $80,000 price reduction. So again, whether you're a luxury buyer or or an average price point buyer, which you're about to see in another couple of examples, a lot of these homes are being reduced because the sellers are getting a reality check knowing that they can't get those unrealistic original list prices for their homes. All right, so now let's take a look at this third example of another Las Vegas home for sale that recently closed just last month. You can see again at the top in the yellow highlight, now we're coming down a little bit lower in price. This home closed for $655,000, but again, more importantly, take a look down in the bottom right blue highlight. This home right there in the bottom left says 7/9/2022. So this home was originally listed for sale well over 2 years ago, and you can see on the right side of the highlight for $775,000. They could not find a buyer because, again, it was massively overpriced. As we scroll up here, we take a look. You can see right there where it says sold, $655,000. So again, just by being patient, over 2 years of this home being on the market at $775,000, 2 years later, it finally closed at $655,000. That's a $120,000 price reduction for this home to finally sell because, again, there are so many homes that are massively overpriced, and it doesn't just mean luxury. It's getting down closer to the average price point as well. So again, if you're patient, especially as we go through the rest of this year, in my opinion, we're going to just see more and more price reductions happening because especially here in the Las Vegas real estate market, inventory is spiking. All right, so let's look at this fourth example of another Las Vegas home for sale. Now, this home is currently active. It is not sold, but I wanted to show this to you because this one is well below the median home price average here, which in Las Vegas is about $475,000. You can see on the left side of the screen, this home is currently listed at $375,000. So this is $100,000 below the median price point here in Las Vegas. And you can see just above it in that small red text, it says price cut, $24,000. That happened just about 10 days ago, but that's not the full price reduction as you're about to see down below in the pricing history. Okay, so focus down at the bottom of the screen in the blue highlight. Down on the bottom left there, the date says 7/3/2024. So that was just this past summer, right around 4th of July time period. This home sold for $430,000. Then for whatever reason, just above it, they tried listing this home for the same price point only a couple of weeks later, and they looked like they had a pending sale because it says it right there. Pending sale was $430,000, and for whatever reason, it fell apart. They were not able to sell it, and then you can see right at the top here now, they did a price change all the way down to $375,000. So again, let's just take a look at this example. The home was bought in July for $430,000. They looked like they had a buyer, but then that fell apart, and now they can't even find a buyer after they've done a price reduction of $55,000 down to the current list price of $375,000. And again, this is what I'm talking about. The market dynamics, especially here in the Las Vegas real estate market, are changing quickly because, again, inventory is rising fairly quickly, which means there's going to be less demand, more homes on the market, and home prices are now starting to drop. So real estate prices are unfortunately very slow to reduce in price, but as inventory continues to spike across the country, I think we're going to see more and more home price reductions, especially once we get past the election and well into 2025. But here's the thing. The way to avoid all of this madness right now is to just sit it out and wait on the sidelines, because if home prices come down and interest rates are very likely to come down as we get into 2025, that might be the better time to finally buy a home, because right now there's too much economic uncertainty. So before we end today's video, I just want to give a shout out to my favorite comment from last week's video, and that goes to James. Now I'm going to put James's comments up here on full screen and read it to you guys, and then come back on the other side and comment on it. So James wrote, Mr. Abbott, I bought my home in Sarasota, Florida in 2011 for $140,000, and it peaked on Zillow at $602,000 last year. That should show you just how unrealistic this is. So that is really stunning home price appreciation, because James's home in that example has more than quadrupled in price in just 13 years. I want to hear from you guys. I want you to drop me a comment down below. I read and respond to all of my comments. If you happen to be a long-time homeowner, I want to hear how much your home has gone up in value in just the last 10 or so years. And my favorite comment from this week's video, I'm going to give a direct on-screen shout out to in next week's video. So in closing, I just want to give you guys some food for thought here, and this is very important. There are two sides to the real estate market. On one side, you have the equity-rich, wealthy, long-term homeowner that can easily afford to buy a home. Then you've got the other side of the market with first-time home buyers. And those are the people, like I said at the beginning of the video, that are becoming house poor because they really don't have the true financial means to buy a home. Now, especially with the presidential election coming up and going into 2025, there could be some economic turmoil ahead. So right now, in my opinion, again, I know everybody's circumstances are different, but if you can be patient and wait things out, I would wait for lower interest rates and lower home prices, because I think that's coming as we get into 2025. Now, again, I know everybody's circumstances are different. Some people can wait things out. Some people are looking to buy right now. If you are thinking about buying a home, especially here in the Las Vegas real estate market, I've got your back. I'm a local real estate agent here. I've lived here for nearly 20 years. I know every inch of this city. When that time is right for you, definitely reach out to me. Just call, text, or email me anytime, and I'll help you find that perfect dream home. I'll see you in the next video.